Yay! I bet you guys like time travel stories. I know I do. And that brings me to this point. Who doesn't like games like this? Third-person action games like this one in particular, Quantum Leap. Wait. Quantum Break. Sorry about that. So this game begins as you follow our main protagonist, Jack Joyce, as he heads off to Riverport University. Why? Because one of his good friends, Paul Serene, is there working on a world-changing project. After a short stumble through the campus, we end up meeting up with good old Paul, our old friend. After one very short reunion, you two find yourselves in this old research laboratory. Here, you discover that the world-changing project that he's actually working on is, in fact, a time machine. Oh joy! Oh boy! I love me my time travel plots. He lied, because usually time travel plots are bad. Usually. However, in this demonstration, you actually find out and discover this time machine actually... it works. Oh my god! However, unfortunately, before you know it, Jack's brother Will shows up pointing guns at people, going crazy, starting clamoring on about the end of time.
Time is going to end.
And now you think to yourselves, as this happened, at least as I thought to myself when it was this happening, why are you holding the gun to my head? Don't just put the gun down if you want us to listen. Don't go, listen to me, the world's going to end. You look like a crazy person. Seriously, I mean, honestly, I'm really gonna trust someone who has a gun pointed at my head, aren't I? Come on, it's logic here. Suddenly, however, this time machine actually starts malfunctioning, creating some sort of temporal rift of sorts. This temporal rift is a unique phenomenon called a stutter, and we quickly soon learn that this is going to be a reoccurring theme throughout the entire game, where eventually you're going to get stutters more and more commonly, and the world's going to freeze constantly during the adventure. Our good friend Paul, unfortunately, however, gets trapped inside the actual time machine. And instead of waiting for help, and instead of asking Jack and whatnot to open up the doorway so we can escape, because unfortunately some mooks just happen to be around the corner, and oh, they just started shooting at us, great job, he decides to actually go through the time machine. Now bear in mind, this time machine it's malfunctioning. So you can probably guess something's going to go wrong. Dreadfully, dreadfully wrong. This unfortunately leaves Jack and Will to get chased by security, so they have to try and escape from security and try and escape from the university campus. Little do we realise that Jack is actually gaining some newfound powers caused by the malfunctioning of the time machine itself. Some of these time-based powers that he learns includes the ability to freeze enemies in place and teleport from point to point in certain areas, allowing him to get through quite a few tricky situations, if I do say so myself. We learn eventually that Will has actually been preparing for this event to be happening for quite a long time, and as such we need to try and take out as many mooks as we physically can to get to his car, which contains something called the countermeasure, which is basically what the entirety of this game's plot revolves around. So that basically leaves us with a couple of corridors of the university and tons of mooks to take out. And no, I don't mean take out to dinner, I mean the other kind of takeout. You know, the bang, the bang, bang, the boom, the kapow, the punch, the pow, right in the kisser, sort of bang, bang, you know, ladies and gentlemen. On the way towards the car, however, unfortunately the main characters do get sidetracked a little bit, and we actually run into our friend Paul yet again afterwards, who we find out actually got teleported 17 years into the past. No, seriously, 17 years. It's a long time. It's a big number. And he actually spent those 17 years building up Monarch Solutions in order to come up with a solution. Ha! Get it! To the problem. This game is a typical third-person action-adventure game similar to the likes of the Tomb Raider reboot, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, and even Uncharted, for example, where generally we find ourselves moving from point A to point B, from location to location, killing enemies, moving, trying to traverse the environment and getting to the end, and progressing with the main plot of the story. However, the main thing that does set this apart from games such as the Tomb Raider reboot and Uncharted is the fact we can actually utilize Jack's time-based powers in battle, including the likes of the ability to freeze enemies in place, which we can actually then start shooting into the bubble that we froze to start stacking up a bullet to additional damage. We can also teleport from multiple points in order to get out of enemy fire. So if enemies are shooting towards us, we can teleport from one point to another to shoot at them. And we also have a slow down time mechanic whenever we do dodge abilities as well, which is pretty damn neat, I tell you that much. We can also run straight at enemies as well in super speed in order to either run past them and try and find a new form of cover if you're overwhelmed by gunfire, or to just run up to the enemies and whack them. Pow! Right in the kisser! And you know what? I'm gonna be honest, I actually love this, because it gives you so many different ways to take advantage of situations that may be presented to you. Maybe there's tons of enemies right in front of you, and you need to try and figure out a way to weave in between them and try and find a good vantage point to take them all out. I love this. This gives me so many options in combat scenarios. And generally, the game itself, it controls pretty damn tightly. I mean, you push a button, and it works. It's as you expect. The controls work damn fine, I'll tell you that much. And you'll find yourself traversing the environment quite easily throughout the course of the adventure. The game also has a cover system similar to the Tomb Raider reboot, where you don't actually have to push a button to get in and out of cover. Jack himself will actually automatically jump in and out of cover as long as you are near a piece of cover. For example, if there's a wall in front of you, move the analog stick up, and then you'll duck in behind the wall, which will make it so easy to... Basically, it makes it very easy and quick and efficient to zip in and out of cover, to shoot fire at enemies and take them out, and then immediately go back into cover so you don't get killed. I don't know, I love it, and it's such a pet peeve of mine with games that have cover systems that involve buttons, like Gears of War, for example. I can push the A button to go into the cover, and sometimes it'll freak out and I'll go the opposite direction, you know. Even though some people would say this type of cover system is streamlining the game too much, it's a welcome addition to me because it solves my biggest issue with games like Gears of War, where I'm flinging myself from cover to cover, getting confused because the buttons aren't working the way I want. So, it works for me, personally. Jack also has the ability to rewind time into his arsenal as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, for example, you can use this in a number of platforming sequences where, say you have a giant crane or a giant object above you and it's blocking your path. You can actually rewind time to make it so that's no longer blocking your path so you can progress forward. And this is such a fantastic way to build not only the world of the game. I just love the fact we can do this, you know. It makes sense. We have time powers. Why can't we put them to use and use our time-based ability to traverse around the environment? I like it. I like it a lot. The main game itself is split up into 3 separate points. You have your main acts, which obviously is the main game of the game. Main game of the game. The main game of the game. It's the main game of the game. You know what I mean. You have the junctions, and you have the TV show sequences. I'll talk more about them later on, and yes, you did hear me right, I did say TV show sequences. And even though this is a third-person cover-based shooter for the most part, you won't always find yourself just simply sitting down and shooting enemies constantly. You know, the game does its best to try and break up the pacing. It does its best to make it so you're not just going through waves and waves and waves of enemies. You'll be sometimes platforming in the environment, sometimes you'll be exploring a slight bit. Other times, you will be obviously shooting enemies, so... You know, the game itself does a good job in making sure that you're not just shooting through the entire experience. You know, folks, there's plenty of variety here. And while the main game itself is actually pretty damn linear, it is a story-based game after all, you will find yourself able to explore the environment quite easily. And you're usually rewarded for exploring the environment by utilizing these giant glowy things. I don't know what they're called, I forgot the name of them, and I don't actually have them written down in my script here. I was an idiot when I wrote this. But, you do have giant glowy things to collect, and these will actually increase your overall powers. You will be able to use these to upgrade your powers in the special power-up menus. Another benefit that you will have for exploring the main environment as well, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that you will be able to find narrative elements during your adventure. So for example, if you want to increase the storyline of the game, if you want to learn more about the overall plot and the backgrounds going on behind the scenes, you can actually go around and look for each of these collectibles in the environment to tell more of the story. These usually come in the form of emails, or they come in the form of pieces of paper just lying about on a piece of table or something like that. But they offer not unique, but they offer an interesting read that you can easily go to and think, oh, so that's why this X thing that I wasn't thinking about is this way. You know, folks, you can easily expand your experience just by exploring and reading the extra dialogue, which I appreciate. After every main act of the game, however, you will find yourself in something called a junction, which I mentioned a bit earlier on in the review. Now, junctions are basically you playing as the bad guy, and you're actually seeing the game from the bad guy's perspective and making decisions throughout. And you can actually, these decisions you make will actually make some minor changes to the upcoming stage you're about to play, as well as the upcoming TV sequences that you can watch, which I do appreciate, and it does add a lot of replayability to the game, because then you'll play through the game and you'll think, what if I chose this option instead? So then you can beat the game once and then go back to the game and then choose the other option just to figure out what happens, to see what happens, what changes in the world. Although these TV show sequences themselves, they're basically as you would expect. They're a TV show. Whoop-de-doo. They're actually pretty damn high quality, and I do recommend them to give them a watch, because they're completely skippable as well in this game. And they offer a lot of unique backstory to a lot of the characters that are behind the scenes for the most part in the story. Obviously the main character shows up, and the main bad guy himself also shows up in these TV show sequences, but they are definitely a good watch. You know, you get to see what's going on behind the scenes. And if you're like me, if you're a person like me who plays games for like an hour or so segments, because I don't know, I lose interest after an hour, or no matter what game it is. It's a problem I have. It makes recording games a damn nightmare, I tell you that much. But basically this is a nice way for the game to break up its pace. So just as you're about to get tired of the game, just as you're about to get fed up of playing it, boom, a TV show will pop up, so then you can just sit back, relax, eat some popcorn, and watch the fireworks go, ladies and gentlemen. The game itself also boasts a pretty damn nice soundtrack as well in the grand scheme of things. Now, a lot of the actual songs in the game are copyrighted, which is why I probably won't be playing them during this review. But one thing I do appreciate about this game is if you go into the options menu, you can actually find an option that allows you to turn off copyright music. Now this is a godsend for people who do streaming and do reviews and let's plays and stuff. So that I'm appreciative of the developers of chucking that option into the game. And for the most part, all the music in this game suits its mood, you know, folks. You have the typical soundtrack for whenever you're fighting mooks. You have a bit more calm ambient noises whenever you're exploring the environment. It's nothing I'd listen to outside of the game, but it does its job. Graphically, the game looks absolutely stunning. Oh my god. More so in the lighting effects department than in the character models department, because I find the character models themselves, something seems off about them. But the general lighting of the game is damn near amazing. It is phenomenal to look at. I just love the environment designs. I love just slowly taking in the environment of this game. It just looks stunning, all things considered. It's just a shame that I don't know, something's really off with the character models. I can't put my finger on what. They're good character models, they got good polygon counts and everything, but something looks off with them. Only in the main game itself though, whenever you go into cutscenes, I think they use a higher quality, like textures and stuff in the models, so in the cutscenes they look damn fine, but you know, when you're playing in the game, something looks not quite right. I don't know, it just... Maybe I'm paranoid, maybe I'm looking for criticism where there's nothing to criticize, I don't know. Ultimately though, Quantum Break is a fun shooter. It is a very fun, solid action-adventure game with a gripping storyline that it actually got me hooked right up until the very end. I was surprised, actually. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed the story of this game. Because I normally despise time travel plots, because it's so easy to fuck them up. But no, I would honestly say this game did it good. Remedy, good job. You did good with the story. Good job. And for the most part, the gameplay itself is very easy to get into. It's good fun to actually mow down enemies and explore the environments. However, I do feel the time powers do take a little bit of getting used to in the grand scheme of things. It does take a little while to really get into using your time powers effectively in battle, because I don't know, I think it's just due to the nature of the time travel powers. I wasn't really thinking in the mindset of, oh, I have superpowers when I'm playing the game. I was just in the mindset of a typical Tomb Raider game where, oh, I'm just happen to be on this person on a whimsical adventure, so maybe it's my own fault. But I did find the time powers a little awkward to get used to, you know, in the grand scheme of things. And many people may not like the fact this game tries to integrate a TV storyline alongside the main storyline, but I personally enjoy it because it gives me a break in between acts. I despise playing games for long periods of time, so it's definitely something that works for people who have similar gameplay styles as I do. You know, ladies and gentlemen? Uh-oh, look at the time! Gotta go! So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope this gives you an idea on whether the game's good or not. And yeah, Quantum Break, I would recommend it. I like it. I like the game a lot. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish, and I'll catch you all again. Bye!